Lots of news going on out in the world. Bombs dropping all over the world. Not all over the world, but in some parts of the world, there's bombs dropping. But Dax Harwood, you like that transition? Dax Harwood dropped a bomb this week on the Oral Sessions podcast with Renee Paquette. I'm sorry, that was a horrible transition. No tact at all. I apologize for that. Don't cancel me. Dax Harwood was on Renee Paquette's podcast this week, and man, what an interview. She had said that she set out to interview both Dax and Cash separately because they always do interviews together, and she thought maybe she could get deeper to the core of the person if she could interview them individually. And that she did, because this was one of the most revealing podcast interviews I've heard in a long time. Dax opened right up about everything from being overweight as a kid and getting picked on for that, and joining football, and then developing a eating disorder after that, or I'm sorry, like he was what do they call that? The people that vomit on purpose, binging. I don't know. Binging's what you do on Netflix. Purging. I'm blanking on it right now. Fucking give me a break. But he used to do that, where you puke up your food after you eat it. Bulimic. There we go. All of the above are correct. You know what? It's been a long day. It's Friday as I record this. And, it's been a long week at work. And I'm just trying to unwind, trying to relax with you guys, talk a little bit of wrestling. And so you guys are just going to have to get all the way off my back about this, okay? All the way off. Anyways, all of that was super revealing, including he talked about his wife having a miscarriage. All of that shit. This got so deep, so personal. I'm trying to be a little lighthearted about it because it was a really deep, almost dark podcast. And, but this clip in particular, like a lot of that was life stuff and that kind of thing. But this one involving wrestling goes back to when Dax was in WWE. And if you remember that segment where the Revival got their ass beat by DX on like the 25th anniversary show or whatever. Well, here's what happened behind the scenes, backstage during all of this. And here's what Dax had to say about it. This will blow your mind. Or maybe not. Check it out.
And so as a kid, I chose Brett over Shawn. And then NXT, Shawn came on board, and he was a teacher. And he was a big fan of me and Dan's. And we got injured. Dan broke his jaw. Kenta gave him to go to sleep, broke his jaw. Maybe 2 weeks later, I gave Sheamus a lifter, and I tore my bicep. And I went through a real bad phase then because, I was like, man, this is not going to work for us. I mean, this is a run of bad luck. We came back to TV, and then at Raw 25, we were booked to do the deal with Hunter and his friends where they just beat us up. And I was so upset because for a lot of guys, it's like, oh, it's a paycheck. Who cares? But not to me. There's a legacy I want to leave. But that happened, and I talked to Shawn, and that was the first time we talked since the PC days. And I told him, I was like, man, this happened, tore my bicep. I went through a really dark period. I thought I was going to quit. But thankfully, just like I've told you, I had the greatest wife in the world, and she has supported me, and she brought me out of this funk, and she brought me out of a dark place, and I'm here now, and I'm super happy. He said, I was the same way. I was in this very dark spot. I met my wife. She's beautiful. She pulled me out of this dark spot too. I was like, oh, that's so awesome. He said, look, you and your partner are way too talented to be doing what you're doing tonight. You're way too talented to stay at this point. Just keep your nose to the ground and keep grinding, and you're going to get over it. Like, oh man, Shawn, thank you so much. And so we had this bonding moment. And then we got in front of his friends, X-Pac and Hunter and Billy and Road Dogg and Scott. And as soon as we got in front of his friends, he started making fun of me and making fun of my situation. And what happened with my bicep? And I was like, man, I just poured my heart out to you. And as soon as we get in front of your friends, because we're going over what, they're going to beat the shit out of us, you decide to take all that stuff and make fun of me about it. And I never, ever forgot it. And as soon as we were done with the business at Raw, one person said thank you to us, and it was Sean Waltman.
I was very surprised about this. First of all, before we go forward, can we just say what a gem Sean Waltman is? Can we just address that? I got a clip with Waltman a little bit later on here in the show. But just what a peach of a human being he really is. I have had the opportunity to meet Sean Waltman, and what a fucking guy. He's a sweetheart is what he is. But so props to him for being the only guy to thank the Revival for letting them just beat the fuck out of them. But I was really surprised by this because honestly, I hadn't heard anything about Shawn Michaels being that way since he found God, quote unquote. Some people even doubt that. Corny is pretty outspoken about that on his shows, and I've heard other people say it too, that it's just an act or it's a way to like save face and forgive him, be forgiven by everybody because he burned so many bridges and made so many enemies, and if he can just say, sorry, bro, religious now, can I get a mulligan? Maybe people will give him a break, right? But this sounded like old school Shawn Michaels. And people change, like I truly believe in my heart of hearts that people can change. And I do believe in my heart of heart that religion is one of those things that can change people's perspective, the way that they are in life, right? But there's always going to be like a hint of that other guy deep down, right? Because it is you still. And yeah, life's happened and things have evolved and changed and now you're a better person and yada, yada, yada. I get that and I wholeheartedly believe it's possible. But you gotta think that there's like a piece of Shawn Michaels, the old prick, cocky asshole, fuck you, I'm better than you, I'm gonna bury you to everybody backstage, I'm gonna all this shit, and honestly, I think what it boils down to in this situation is Sean's that guy in the group who needs to feel validated. He needs to feel accepted by the others. He's not a leader in the sense that he's comfortable in his own skin and that he can just be okay with being him. And if you like him, you like him. If you don't, you don't. I feel like he needs to like puff out his chest and prove himself was kind of his problem back in the day. But I think this incident was just trying to win the approval of his buddies, get a laugh out of his buddies for his own personal insecurities and at the expense of the Revival, FTR. And it makes me so sad because I really thought Sean was doing well. I think I had only heard one thing, and it might have been corny, where somebody was actually like criticizing him, saying that he was still kind of that same guy backstage. He just puts a mask on. I don't think that's the case. I think we've seen enough of Sean over the years and heard enough of Sean over the years since he's been back and everything that I don't think that's where he was coming from with this. But either way, it was a douchebag move. It was definitely the old Sean. It was completely unnecessary. He should feel bad. He should absolutely apologize. He should go out of his way to apologize. He should get their phone number, call them, especially after hearing this, because this will make the rounds on the internet. And it's going to hopefully get back to him that, like, hey, Dax the Axe over there was talking some shit about you, saying you were being a douchebag at the thing, the 25, Raw 25. Look, when you are a team like FTR, the Revival, like, they're team players, man. They will help put over anybody. They will take an ass beating. They will take the short end of the stick for the love of wrestling and to better everything, for the betterment of the team. And I think they get taken advantage of because of that. I think the reason why they're not as prominent in AEW right now is because they're so good at playing the role of getting other people over. And nobody's ever really given them a proper run. They had the tag titles, every place, but they weren't like dominant, you know what I mean? And it just gets squashed by DX like that. Like at the very least, like go backstage and say, hey, thank you for doing that for us, man. You made us look good out there. We appreciate you. That's all you need to say. Okay? You don't got to buy him a fucking thank you card or a fucking cake or send flowers or anything like that. Just say thanks, bro, for putting us over. That's all you got to do. And Waltman did because he's a fucking decent human being. But we've all heard that Triple H is a douchebag. We've all heard that Shawn Michaels is a douchebag. I don't know. I can't speak for the Outlaws so much. I have had the opportunity to meet them too, and they seemed fine. They weren't being dicks to anybody or anything like that. But, in like a locker room setting or whatever, but there was nothing really struck me about them, but we know Triple H and we know Shawn Michaels have a history of being complete and total douchebags. We just thought they were past it. We thought this was something they had moved on from and grown out of, and everybody loves and respects them now. And, it's Uncle Hunter and Uncle Sean and all that shit. But deep down, they're not afraid to just bury you and laugh about it. And that's fucking sad. And hopefully Dax gets his apology and Cash, both of them. And hopefully they get a run with the belts again. And that match with the Young Bucks and the fucking Briscoe brothers, god damn it. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.